Welcome back to Miniature Game Montage and Painting for the Average Joes. These guides are aimed more at the average Joe painter like me. It will not win you any awards, but using basic techniques, the goal is to turn your gray tide into something you can be proud of. Today we'll be painting a German Grenadier from the Bolt Action line. These miniatures are found in the starter box Band of Brothers, but you can also buy them in their own box separately to boost your forces. As a side note, my paint jobs may not be historically accurate, and while I certainly enjoy the theme of World War II and appreciate and respect the history, I do not claim to be an expert. I also take a lot of inspiration from other painters such as Duncan Rhodes Academy, Pete the Wargamer, Sledgehammer Studios, and others. So be sure to check them out if you'd like to see people do it a lot better than me. Alright, to start, I have used a spray primer of a matte black on this miniature. And to start, I'm going to use Vallejo Tan Earth, and we are going to base coat the skin tones, working from the inside out. I just find this works a little easier for me, so I'm going to work on the face and the hands, and you want to be sure that you're using thin coats here, as you do not want to clog any details. And at the end of this first coat, if it looks like this, that's okay, because that means you're using thin coats. Just be sure to go over it again to get complete coverage. And with the skin complete, we're going to move on to Vallejo's Khaki, and we're going to use this to base coat the Zeltban poncho that he is wearing. And this color will probably require 2 coats to get the coverage that you see here. We also want to be sure that we do the helmet while we're at it, as these items will be camouflage. Next, we'll use Vallejo's World War II Field Gray, and we're going to use this color to get the pants as well as the shirt. And again, this may take you a few passes to get a good color, but just take your time. If you make any mistakes at this point, it is extremely easy to fix because we are just using base colors. Next, we're going to come in with Vallejo's Green Gray, and we are going to get the bag here, as well as, I guess, their gaiters down towards the boots. Next, we will use Vallejo's Leather Brown, and we are going to work on the boots. We're going to get the canteen that he's wearing, just the bottom half of it. We're also going to get the rifle stock base coated in this color. We'll then move on to Vallejo's German Camo Dark Green, and we are going to do the gas mask canister. For the dark items like the webbing, I'm going to use German Gray, and you could also use a brown here. You could probably use the green as well. I think there's a lot of variations in the uniforms for World War II, but I'm going to go with this black color on all the straps. I will also touch the gun where some places will be silver, as well as the top of the canteen. And now I'll bring in Vallejo's Gunmetal and just brush over some of these silver bits, kind of leaving some of that black in there as well. And now to work on the camouflage, I'm going to bring in Vallejo's Burnt Umber, and just going to make some patterns here. There's a lot of different camouflage variations, so I just make it irregular and just whatever I think fits. And while this color is on my palette, I'm going to go ahead and base coat the base. And back to the camo, I'm going to bring in Vallejo's Reflective Green, and again, just making some irregular patterns and bringing that camouflage to life. And with the base coats complete, we're going to move on to a wash. We're going to use Citadel's Agrax Earthshade, and I'll be applying this all over the model as well as the base. And with that wash fully dry, we are going to move into highlighting this miniature back up. First, using the Tan Earth that we used earlier, which was our base color, we're going to go back in and highlight up the fingers and some of the face on the higher parts, leaving the wash into the recesses. We're then going to bring in a Vallejo game color. This is Dwarf Skin. This is a lighter skin tone, and we're going to go back and just do some highlights on the fingers, on the hands, on the top. You want to be sure you get the nose, the cheekbones, the chin, the prominent parts that are sticking out on the skin. The key thing here is to take your time, be sure you're using a wet brush, and don't worry if you mess up, it's easy to go back and fix. Lastly, we're going to use Vallejo's flat flesh, and we're going to go back through on the skin, just getting the highest points and bringing out those extreme highlights, really getting the nose and those features that really stick out. And once you're comfortable with that, scoop up your German field gray and go back over the pants and the shirt just on the higher areas, leaving the wash and the recesses. Now let's go back to our green gray, which was our base coat on the back, and we'll highlight the edges here. You can also put a few lines in the middle just to simulate light hitting folds in the cloth, and you could also do the gaiters here if you wanted to. And then you can go across the legs as well as the arms, picking out some of the highest points and putting a thin line there just to simulate some light, really reflecting off of that cloth. Next, I'm going to switch up to a Vallejo Mahogany Brown, and I'm just going to drag this across the gun as well as the canteen just to give some different type of tones so it's just not that flat brown color. Now, some of the other bits that we did leather brown, such as the strap on the gun as well as the boots, I'm going to highlight those up with some tan earth just to simulate some scuff marks and some wear and things of that nature. And then for the pieces that we did black, I'm going to take our German field gray once more and just go through and kind of highlight the tops of those. Again, just trying to simulate where light would be hitting the top. And back on the camouflage, the Zelt band, if you feel like that it darkened down too much with the wash, you can go through like I'm doing and just kind of sporadically highlight that back up with your original colors using the khaki. The burnt umber I find is good even when it's darkened down, but you may want to choose to use some reflective green to try to bring out that green a little bit more, but also to tidy up some of the camo and just to make it a little more irregular. And for the last highlight on the miniature, I'm going to use Vallejo's Natural Steel. I forgot the picture here, but it's a lighter color than the gunmetal. I'm going to dry brush this and just kind of give that some more variation. And I'm also going to drag it across the gas canister on the back. And for the base, I'm just going to dry brush some tan earth across that burnt umber to give this some variation in color. This is just a sand and PVA brown paint mixture. And then I'm going to use some Vallejo's Iraqi sand, which is an even lighter color. I'm going to use a lighter dry brush and come through and really kind of pick out some of the high points here. A lot of this is going to be covered up with grass, but again, just trying to simulate some light. And moving on to the bases, going to apply a little watered down PVA just around the base. Maybe where I didn't get the sand completely on the base, I'll cover that up with some grass using the Army Painter's static grass. So I apply this paint, drop the grass on top with some tweezers, tap off the excess, and this guy is ready to report to the front. So I really hope you've enjoyed this painting guide. Be sure to leave a like if you did, if you made it this far. I really appreciate you watching this content, and I'm one of those guys where I really feel like I am just an average person that's painting miniatures, and if I can do something like this, so can you. Turn your gray tide into something that you can be proud of. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.